Tips for new vegans, people wanting to go vegan or just mostly vegan or just reduce your animal product consumption. 12. I ended up with 12 tips. That might be too much. I don't know. Obviously, there are tons of other suggestions, I'm sure, for any of you who have any other tips for newbies. Please be sure to leave them in the comments. So number 1 would be, I think, transition. This is a tip that I think a lot of people will not want to take advantage of because it's hard, when you're going vegan for ethical reasons, when you've learned about the cruelty involved with producing your milk, your eggs, your meat, it can be really hard to just say, okay, well, I'm going to start to cut back. You feel the urgency, the moral urgency there, and you want to do everything you can, and you want to go vegan right away. But there is some evidence that a slower transition, like by going vegetarian and then gradually cutting out other things, milk and eggs, gives you a better chance in the long run, a better chance of actually staying vegan. And it can help with some other issues, which I'll get to in the upcoming tips, some issues with just eating a vegan diet. If you're just too eager, if you really need or really want to go vegan right now, please consider making a list of like your favorite non-vegan stuff. Like the stuff when you think about not being able to eat anymore, you get like real sad. This is something I heard from Tanya K. Do you guys remember Tanya K? She is still vegan apparently, and she was raw vegan. I don't know if she's still raw, but she was raw years ago when I was doing raw. She's a dancer and an actress, for those who don't know. She was on this like weird reality TV superhero show for a while. I don't know. I don't even know what it was called. But anyway, there was a video of her talking about going vegan, and one of her tips was just that, was making a list of all of your favorite, your very, very favorite things, bacon or whatever it is, a specific cheese, stuff like that. And that's the list that if you really want those things, those are the things that you can still have like while you're transitioning. And I thought that was a really cool idea. That was the first time I'd ever heard that. So I thought I would mention that. It's similar to something I've mentioned before that I heard from Vegan Outreach a long time ago, when someone says, oh, I would go vegan, but I can't live without cheese or like whatever. And it's like, okay, we'll go vegan except for cheese, right? If there's one thing holding you back, then maybe hang on to that one thing for a while. Number 2, another list thingy, I would say to make a list of vegan foods that you really, really like. So vegan stuff that you're already eating. And this might be kind of hard at first if you're really, really new to vegan. You might not be totally sure what's vegan and what isn't. But there's some obvious stuff. Peanut butter is vegan unless you're getting some kind with like, I don't know, maybe some peanut butter chocolate milk mix and the chocolate's got milk in it or something. But straight peanut butter, typically vegan. Peanut butter sandwiches, trail mix, lots of snacky things. I think that's really helpful. And lots of people already eat vegan snacks, chips and whatnot. But even meals, if you really love spaghetti and meatballs, obviously spaghetti is vegan. Probably the marinara you're using, there's a good chance that is vegan. So it just comes down to the meatballs. So you can try the Gardein meatballs or the Beyond Meat meatballs, or buy the ground Beyond Meat. It's the same stuff. I think it's the same stuff, and form that into meatballs. So yeah, make a list of vegan stuff and also things that are almost vegan, right? There's just like one element that is easily replaceable, right? So in doing this, you may learn that some of your favorite vegan stuff is not actually vegan. Again, if you're not familiar with all of this, if you're not used to looking at labels, you may be really shocked by milk. It's primarily milk. It's just in everything. Your favorite bread, you may look at the list and, oh, there's milk in it. Your favorite trail mix, oh, the chocolate, there's milk in it. Peanuts, there are peanuts that have gelatin in them. There's just all sorts of little examples like that. I would say don't stress about this stuff. If you want to find alternatives, there are lots of yummy breads without milk. There are lots of trail mixes without milk. Certainly go for it. But if the thought of that stresses you out, if you've already made your list of your favorite stuff and half of it turns out to not be vegan, and it's just like, this is too hard, don't worry about it. Remember that the biggest, most consequential thing you can do is to cut out the like obviously non-vegan stuff, the like animal product stuff, the gallon of milk, the carton of eggs, the package of chicken breast or ground beef. A loaf of bread with a tiny bit of milk just does not in any way compare to a gallon of milk, right? So I looked this up, and apparently Americans eat about 10 to 15 grams of fiber per day. That is well under the recommendations, the RDA. Vegans eat about 46 grams on average, at least according to this survey. And that sounds about right, going by my experience and other vegans I've seen, and other vegans, What Ate Today's and whatnot I've seen. So jumping straight from a standard American diet that's really low in fiber to a whole food vegan diet that is quite high in fiber, like double the RDA, it's gonna suck. There's gonna be gas, there's gonna be bloating. It is very likely going to be uncomfortable. So in the beginning, it really makes sense to not do a fully whole food vegan diet for a while if you're really concerned about this, if it's really uncomfortable, which for some people it is, or even just embarrassing. If you're in a work scenario and you've got the gas, it can be pretty bad. So this is really another argument for a slower transition. But you can still ameliorate things if you're going full vegan just by, again, not eating so much fiber. So mock meats can really help here. They tend to be very low in fiber. Even white breads and white pastas. There is Beanzyme. It is a vegan Beano, because Beano is not actually vegan. Again, I wouldn't stress too much about that in the beginning. Beanzyme is not going to be in store. You'd have to order it. Just get the Beano. But it can really, really help with the fermentable fibers, the oligosaccharides in beans and broccoli. These are the components that make you bloaty and gassy. But it's not necessarily going to help you eat more, which is another problem with eating a super, high fiber diet, or moving from a 10 gram per day fiber diet to a 46 grams per day diet. Fibrous food is bulky. It's high volume food. If you're used to eating low fiber, you're used to eating low volume foods. You're used to eating a lot of calories in a little package. It may just be hard to get enough calories early on when you're eating a meal of beans and rice and kale, because your stomach just fills up so quick. This will not last forever. I often talk about how I don't like, eating a high fiber vegan diet, comparing myself to vegans like Healthy Crazy Cool, who I talked about recently, who eats a whole lot of whole foods, a whole lot of vegetables, gets way more fiber than I do. But when I actually look at my food intake in Chronometer, I eat like 50 or more grams a day on average, double the RDA. Now, to me, that doesn't seem like high fiber, even though it obviously is much more fiber than the average person is eating, because my body's used to it. I don't have any problems eating this way. I've been vegan for over a decade. I've been eating lots of fiber for over a decade. So for me, 50 grams of fiber might as well be like 10 grams of fiber. Except I don't get constipated and have like regular bowel movements. So yeah, it's a lot better than 10 grams of fiber. That's not to say I can't F up my digestion. Like I said, if I eat like 100 grams or something, that's going to be rough. If I decide one day to eat, half a pound of beans or a pound of broccoli or something, yeah, I'm going to suffer. Speaking of Chronometer, for those who don't know, is a way to track your calories and your workouts and all that sort of stuff. At least at the start, this can be very, very helpful. Using a site like this just to make sure, just to see how much, protein and zinc and iron that you're getting, as well as calories, making sure you're eating enough calories, because, I did it. Doing this, I did it. I got my steps. Okay. It's pretty shocking in the beginning just how few calories are in. Like, you can make a huge bowl of salad with a bunch of different vegetables and whatnot, and even a dressing on it, and it's still only like 200 calories. It's pretty shocking. So I think this is a good thing to do, again, just in the beginning, just to see how much calories is in that, salad that you made, or that bowl of beans and rice or whatever. Once you establish more of a regular eating pattern, a lot of us are eating a lot of the same foods or types of foods, from week to week, and you kind of develop a sort of kind of intuitive sense of nutrition and balanced nutrition. You won't have to track what you eat all the time. I do now, and I have been for the last few months, just because I'm just, right now, I like to. I'm sure I'll start to hate it eventually and I won't do it anymore. You definitely don't have to. I would say it is a good idea every once in a while to plug a regular day in, just to make sure everything's good. Every vegan needs to supplement for B12. many for vitamin D as well. Many omnivores need to supplement for vitamin D, so that's not super surprising. Iodine also, if you aren't regularly using iodized salt and adding iodized salt to your meals. And EPA and DHA are also worth considering. I choose to take a multi, which contains all of the stuff other than the DHA, which I take separately. I like the little bit of extra insurance because I'm pretty picky and I can go weeks without, eating like anything with vitamin A in it. That is something that I will definitely do. So I like to have that just, for extra insurance, but you don't have to, taking B12, vitamin D, making sure you have a source of iodine and DHA, that's pretty good. Just make sure you are following recommendations, specifically recommendations for vegans. The daily needs page at veganhealth.org is super, super helpful for this. Also, this nutrition guide at vegan.com written by registered dietitian Jenny Messina, also awesome. It is very hard to get enough calcium without dairy if you are not eating a lot of greens, specific greens. Greens are healthy, obviously, but a lot of us probably don't want to eat that much, certainly not on a daily basis, and especially at the start. Again, it's a lot of fiber. If you use a milk replacement that has calcium in it, awesome. Otherwise, you might just want to get a calcium-based antacid and eat it like a vitamin with something acidic like orange juice. You can't really rely on a multi for that. They usually do not contain much calcium because calcium is large. If you ever see a calcium supplement, they are ginormous and often quite expensive, often a lot more expensive than just Tums. There are some like calcium fruit chews with more neutral forms of calcium if you don't like antacids or you're worried about the, effect on your stomach pH. This is the bummer one for a lot of us. If you don't know how to cook, you gotta learn how to cook. Unless you have all the money and you can afford like a private chef. But if that's the case, what are you even doing here? I don't have any tips to offer you. Just eat whatever they make for you. Get out of here. You can subsist on convenient stuff for a while if you have access to all of that, which you might not necessarily have depending on where you live. But even if you do, at some point, you're gonna want something different, something that's not available in the frozen section or whatever. Or you just want to, spend less money because that gets pretty expensive. Trust me. And there's stuff, maybe you want a vegan pizza, but you don't have access to again, or you do have access to the vegan pizzas, maybe the Dea or whatever, but you don't like them. So like, you gotta learn how to make a tasty vegan pizza. I'll link some of the YouTube channels I really like for cooking tips and recipes. In terms of recipe books, of course, Issa does it. I have talked about this book, I don't even know how many times on this channel, probably 100 times at this point. Delicious, easy recipes, ingredients that are not hard to find from someone who's been doing this for years, who has proven herself over and over again as a very talented vegan chef. Again, a lot of us don't like to cook, so do your best to choose simple recipes. And that may be hard at first. If you're really new to cooking, it can be even difficult to look at something and figure out if it's actually hard, if it's actually time consuming or not. If you don't know how long it takes to mince garlic or to chop up an onion, even that can be a little bit difficult. So definitely look for recipes that are called like easy whatever or quick or less than 30 minutes. It might take you a little longer than 30 minutes if you're just brand new, but that should help you pare down your choices a little bit. One pot meals are great. It's everything goes into one pot, so you don't have to saute something separately or blend something separately. Basically, you want to find recipes that you really like that are so simple and so easy to make that they're almost as simple as just buying something from the store, right? So pasta with sauce, obviously, a sauce that you buy from the store. There are lots of vegan marinara sauces. There are even a few creamy sauces now. We tried one. It was not good. You can also roast vegetables in the sauce and then mix that all up with the cooked pasta, a trick I just learned about and I have yet to try, but I'm very excited to do so. Buy tortillas, whatever kind you like, corn, flour, whole wheat, the protein ones, there are a bunch of those. There's even a vegan one now that I really, really like. Buy those and make wraps. There's all sorts of tofu wraps. If you don't like tofu, just a simple hummus with vegetable wrap is really good. A clementine or strawberries or something else with vitamin C on the side to help you improve absorption of the iron, the non-heme iron in those foods. Maybe a small bowl of soup. Sandwiches, chickpea salad sandwich is a common one. It's very, very easy to make, very, very simple, very, very cheap. Soups and stews where you just chop stuff up, put it in the pot, and just let it simmer on the stove for an hour or two. Curries as well, very similar to soup, often takes less time to make, but similar thing. There are many recipes that are one pot where you just put the stuff in the pot, saute a little bit, put the spices in, put the coconut milk in, you're done. It sounds like a lot, but again, most of us eat a lot of the same foods from week to week. So you really only need a handful of recipes that you can alternate with during the week or just from week to week. That'll get you pretty far. Gadgets. So blenders, food processors make things so much easier. I really think a blender it's not a necessity. Nothing is really a necessity, but it's pretty much a necessity. Even if you're just eating healthier, if you're not even going vegan, just eating healthier, making your own sauces, making smoothies. Smoothies are invaluable. Such an easy way to get extra protein. A lower powered blender is gonna not be great. It's gonna limit your options a lot. It's gonna, result in like gritty smoothies. You're never gonna get that spinach, or if you're putting nuts or something in there, you're never gonna get them fully blended, which is just sad and gross. Unless you like that, whatever. I'm not going to kink shame. You definitely don't have to buy a Vitamix or a Blendtec or anything like that. I have this little Ninja thing that I've had for like over 3 years. I think I paid like $60 for it. It's great. I use it to make smoothies all the time. Terrific. Food processors, I use mine all the time for making hummus. I much prefer homemade over store-bought. Obviously, you can buy store-bought if you like, but I think they are gross, so I make my own. I use it to make, breakfast cookies, just blending up, dates, making a sweet kind of date paste thing, and guacamole, any number of things. Little coconut chocolate balls, the kids love those. I use it for that. Now, unlike blenders, I think food processors, you kind of do need to spend more money, at least in my experience. I've had a lot of food processors, and the only one that has been like worth owning and worth using is the one I currently have that my dad bought for us. I don't even want to say how much it is. It's the number one recommended on Consumer Reports, and for good reason. It is incredible. In all seriousness, I'm sure there are cheaper food processors that are really good. I just haven't found them myself. And when my dad offered to buy us one, I was like, go to town. Go to town, man, because I was going to buy another like $50 one. So yeah, if any of you have any recommendations for good, not super expensive food processors, leave them in the comments. And again, just to be clear, you don't need a food processor. They're very useful. Again, like the chickpea salad sandwiches that I mentioned earlier, those are great. Before we had our amazing food processor, I would just make partner, literally mash them with a fork and a potato masher. So you can do that too. That looked good job. I put speaking of protein in my notes, but did I say anything about protein in the last section? Oh, I talked about smoothies being a great way to get extra protein. And I know what I'm doing. Protein is important. The RDA is the bare minimum for sedentary people, and it's also assuming that you are eating animal products, that you're eating meat. It's not really made for vegans. Vegans likely need a little bit more, especially if you're active. And if you're coming from just a standard omnivore diet, you're probably used to getting a lot more protein than the RDA. So moving from that to, say, some standard whole food vegan diet where you're getting maybe 45, 50 grams of protein, it might not be super satisfying. More importantly than overall protein is the essential amino acid lysine, which is low in most plant foods. So make sure that you are eating several servings of lysine-rich foods like soy and peanut butter every day. Meat alternatives, mock meats, like I mentioned earlier, extremely helpful here. Of course, anyone giving tips says in the beginning, eat them sometimes and only in the beginning. Fuck that. Eat mock meats anytime, all the time. Obviously not all the time, but I've been vegan for a very long time. I eat mock meats a lot, pretty much every day. Protein powder is another one that can be very useful in the beginning. I eat protein powder pretty much every day. But yeah, protein powder, love it. It's yummy. It turns my smoothies from just, fruit and greens and some fat into something that's actually really satisfying and is good, really useful after a workout. A typical, serving of protein powder, a scoop, 30 grams, 40 grams, somewhere around there, is going to have around 20 grams of protein and around 120 calories. Yes, it is more processed, but again, there's no reason to believe that it's unhealthy. And number 12, if you see a vegan on YouTube or Instagram, whatever, some sort of vegan influencer making grandiose claims about a specific way of eating, a specific, either just a vegan diet or a specific form of vegan diet, and how it can do this and this and this, can eradicate acne, whatever, you know the sort of claims I'm talking about. If you see that, or they are supporting those claims with anecdotes, right? So, a low-fat vegan diet is best. Just look at all these skinny people who eat a low-fat vegan diet. If they're promoting a bunch of alt med stuff, superfoods, detoxes, cleanses, alkalinity, functional mushrooms, don't listen to anything they have to say about nutrition. As with most things in life, turn to the experts. I've tried my best to do that here. I've linked to, again, veganhealth.org, Jack Norris, registered dietitian, theveganrd.com, Jenny Messina, registered dietitian. Definitely turn to those sources when it comes to vegan nutrition and not, Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that. I hope those were useful tips, maybe something a little bit different from some of the other kind of new to vegan videos or articles or whatever you've seen or read. I don't know, but I hope it was good and entertaining and informative. Subscribe if you did like it, maybe. And if you want to see, I don't know, maybe you liked it, but that's like the only thing you want to see from me ever, then I guess don't subscribe. But if you would like to see more stuff from me, then subscribe. I don't know why I needed to explain how subscriptions work, but okay. Patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. You can support me there.